about your role
Yes.
and what you do.
Yes.
What you do exactly. You juggle 12 English regions and 40...
Well, I'm the director of BBC News, which means that I'm responsible for all the network news that you see or hear or read. And since April the 1st, 2 years ago, I've also been responsible for the English regions, which is all those 6:30 newses, the current affairs and local radio, 40 local radio. And from this April, I'm going to be responsible in addition for the global division. So I'll have about 9,000 people at my beck and call, allegedly, not really. I'll be responsible for 9,000 people and for their output. So basically in my sort of job, it's a very, very big strategic and managerial job, but it's also got an editorial element. You do want people to know that you care about their editorial standards, because that's what we're here to do. So I try and juggle that balance between being involved in the editorial stuff, the programmes, the stories, what the audiences get, and also being involved in the management that goes behind them.
So it obviously requires a lot of teamwork, as you've mentioned, and working with a huge range of different people.
Well, the thing about a big job is that you have to have the right people working for you, and you have to be able to delegate properly. And that's true of any big job, be it in manufacturing or in the media. The difference, I suppose, in the media is very often you've come from the grassroots. So I was a local radio reporter, and I've kind of moved my way up from that to where I am now.
I see. And what are your thoughts on graduates that are leaving university now, for instance, younger people that...
Well, it's very, very tough for all graduates leaving at the moment. I mean, we're out of recession officially, but I think if you're a young person, it can often feel like there's not much out there. I have to say, when I left in the 70s, it was quite a bad time economically for the country as well. And I think you just have to be very flexible and very tenacious. You'll be leaving here with good practical skills, which will help. And you've just got to be as flexible as you can be. And, we're just about to enter a slightly different phase in the advertising cycle, I think. I think you'll start seeing more jobs coming through, certainly in the commercial side of things. Maybe local radio, possibly newspapers, certainly I think some television companies and independents will begin to grow and flourish. So you kind of just have to get on with it.
And of course, technology is improving immensely in terms of how we perceive journalism.
That's right.
You could say there's almost 5 platforms in respect to television, radio, online, iPad, iPhone.
Yeah, of course.
How important is that in respect to younger people and anyone trying to...
Well, I think it's a great opportunity for news broadcasters to get young people engaged in news. I mean, increasingly the net or what you get on mobiles is really people's primary source of news if you're under 30. If you're over 30, radio and television are still very strong, and what isn't happening is that one is replacing the other. Lots of people still listen to the Today programme, go online to get their news at lunchtime and watch the 10 o'clock news. So for lots of audiences, it's not either or, it's all of it. But I think the iPad, the iPhone, and the various variations, the Android, etc., all of those are making news much easier to get. And I think for young people on the move and used to convenience, it's a great opportunity for the BBC to get our news to them through their devices.
And just wondering, what are your thoughts on the announcement recently that there could be job cuts in local radio?
Well, I think the BBC, there will be job cuts generally, not as many as people are talking about, but we have got although we've got a 6-year licence fee, it's a licence fee that's been frozen, and we're taking on a whole load of new commitments. So we are going through a really big process of looking at how we make things more efficient and more effective. And unfortunately, inevitably, that will involve some job losses, but they're not necessarily going to be in local radio. The whole organisation is involved in this. And the one thing I'd say is don't believe what you read in the papers about what's going on at the BBC, because we're going through a big process of looking at all sorts of ideas, and it would be some months before those ideas become reality or not.
Right. Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure. Thank you very much. Thank you.